Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, we're doing the 4-7 test review. There's only 10 questions that I'm going to go over. And then you guys are going to finish the back by yourselves, or well, not by yourselves. You can work in groups or whatever to finish them. But the first 10 are what I'm worried about you getting. The free response in the back is exactly the same as those. So I don't have a copy of it up because it's going to take up a lot of room for me to write. And I want you to be able to see it. So I'm just going to use some paper and read the questions to you. So number one says find two positive numbers such that the sum of the first and twice the second is 56 and whose product is a maximum. So we're going to start with that first equation where it said the sum of the first and twice the second is 56. And then it says whose product is a maximum. So remember in our notes or in our homework we went over, we did XY equals the P or the product. So we're going to take this equation that has everything and we're going to plug it into this one so that we can find the derivative and then the answer. So remember, you can solve it for anything, but I went ahead and solved this one for X again, because it's just a little bit easier. So the way we solve for X, sorry about that, is we subtract that 2y. So we have 56 minus 2y. And then we're going to take that and put it into this product equation. So 56 minus 2y times y equals the product. I want to go ahead and multiply that out to make that derivative a little bit easier. So we're going to do that. We have 56y minus 2y squared equals the product. Then we're going to find the derivative of that. The derivative of 56y is 56. The derivative of negative 2y squared is negative 4y. Once we get our derivative, remember we set that derivative equal to 0. And now we're going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract or add the 4y over and then divide by 4. About 4, not y. And I get that y is 14. So if you guys look at all of your answers, there's only one that has the 14, but if you want to go ahead and find those, just in case your test does that, remember you can plug it back into the original equation. So we have x plus 2y equals 56. We solved that so that x equals 56 minus 2y. Sorry, we're going to plug in y right there. And we're going to get 14 in there. When we finish it out, we get 28. So your answer should be B, 28 and 14. So again, number one should be B. All right. If you guys look, your test is going to work this same way. Number two looks almost identical to number one. So number two says find two positive numbers such that the sum of the first and twice the second is 80. So the sum of the first and twice the second is 80. And whose product is a maximum. So XY equals your product. Again, we don't have to do any of the derivative tests right now because we're only getting one X and one Y. I will show you in a minute after I finish these two how else you can do this. 1 and 2 you should not miss, period, even if you don't know how to do the problem. So solve this one. I went ahead and did it just like the last one, where I subtracted 2y and plug into your product equation. So 80 minus 2y times y equals your product. We're going to distribute that out and get 80y minus 2y squared equals your product. Once we get it in terms of the same variable, we take the derivative. Sorry, this should be 80 So our derivative of 80y is 80. Our derivative of negative 2y squared is negative 4y. And we set that derivative equal to 0. Again, just like the last one, move that 4y over. And then solve for y. So we're going to divide by 4. We get that y equals 20. And again, there's only one that has 20. But if you're doing the other problems, you want to plug it back in. So we're going to plug it into the x equals 80 minus 2y. 80 minus 2 times 20. 2 times 20 is 40. So 80 minus 40 is 40. So your two numbers are 40 and 20. And that answer is C. All right, so I'm just going to go over this real quick. I'm going to look at number one more time, and I'm going to look at your answer choices. So we had 28 and 28, 28 and 14. We had 22 and 17, 34 and 11, 24 and 16. So if I put these in my calculator, you grab that. Again, these are very cut and dry, and like I said, you can't really mess it up. Get my calculator on my phone so you guys can see it. We can plug it into that equation to see. So it says find two positive numbers such that the sum of the first and twice the second is 56, and whose product is a maximum. So if we do 28 plus 2 times 28, you guys see that that is not 56. Okay, so we get to already mark that out. So that one is not going to be an answer choice. 28 plus 2 times 14 is 56. So that worked. But their product is 392. So I'm going to write that down next to it. 392, real small. 22 plus 2 times 17. Again, I'm just plugging it into that very beginning formula. It's supposed to give us 56. It did. When I multiply it, I get 374. We wanted a maximum product. So that marks C out because 392 is bigger than 374. 34 plus 2 times 11 is 56. So that one worked. 34 times 11 is 374, which we said was smaller than the 392. 24 plus 2 times 16 is 56, so that one worked. 24 times 16 is 384, which is still not bigger than the 392. So you could do this almost by guess and check for 1 and 2. So again, 1 and 2 you should not miss. You should not miss. Okay, we're going to move on to 3 and 4. I had to flip my page and then I'll be back. So for number 3, it says find the length and width of a rectangle that has an area of 968. So if it's a rectangle, our area is length times width. It told us that our area was 968. Again, you can use X and Y, it doesn't matter. And then it said whose perimeter is a minimum. So our perimeter is 2L. Sorry, trying to get my eraser out. 2L plus 2W is going to equal your perimeter. Okay. Again, why is it 2L, 2W? We're working with a rectangle. The top and the bottom are the same. So 2 length, and then the left and the right are the same. We're going to solve this for either one. It doesn't matter. I ended up solving it for L, so I divided by W. And I got that L equals 968 over W. And you plug that into your perimeter formula. So 2 times 968 over W plus 2W is going to give you that perimeter. We're going to multiply that 2 out, and then we're going to find the derivative. So when we multiply it, we get 1936 over W plus 2W. And then we're going to move that W to the top to be -1 so that it's easier to take that derivative. So then to the side, I'm going to take the derivative. 1936 W to the -1 is going to give you negative 1936 W to the 1 less power, or -2. And then you're going to have plus 2. We're going to set that derivative equal to 0. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1936 over W squared plus 2 is equal to 0. I'm going to go ahead and add that 1936 to the other side. So we get 2 equals 1936 over W squared. We're going to cross multiply to solve it. When I multiply 2 times W squared is 2W squared equals 1936. I'm going to divide by 2. I get W squared equals 968. And then we're going to take the square root. Now, if you look, there are no answer choices that are square root of 968. So we're going to break that down and fix it. So the way I did it and the way that I teach my other kids to do it, find your factors of 968. So you can put them in your calculator like this. Check your table. My table needs to be fixed where we've been messing with it. So I'm gonna put it back on auto. And this will tell me all of my factors. So here's 4 and 242. That one doesn't help me, but this one does. 8 and 121. So 8 is 3 2s. 121 is 2 11s. I have pairs of 2s and pairs of 11s. That means 2 and 11 will come outside. A 2 stays inside. And your reduced answer is 22 square root of 2. And if you guys see, there's one of those on there. So that's your width. How do you get your length? Remember that formula up there in the top corner that you can see now? 968 divided by 22 square root of 2. And if you look, again, you don't have to find this. I'm just trying to show you how, just in case when you get to some other ones, you have that. I do want to show you 22 square root 2. I want to make sure I put that in parentheses. That still gives you the same decimal right there. So that's where the 2 comes from. So when you can simplify this, your length and width are exactly the same. Okay. I'm not going to go through the steps of simplifying it just to save you some time because you already know the answer, but I wanted to show you where the length was. Okay. Number 4 is exactly the same way. It says find the length and width of a rectangle that has an area of 72 square feet and whose perimeter is a minimum. So area, again, is length times width. Like I told you the other day, 1 and 2 are the same, 3 and 4 are the same, 5 and 6 are the same, 7, 8 are the same, and then 9 and 10 will be the same, and it'll be the exact way for your test as well. So our area was 72. And then I did solve for L again and got 72 over W. Perimeter for a rectangle is 2 length plus 2 width equals your perimeter. We're going to trade out L for 72 over W. And then we're going to simplify this. 2 times 72 is 144 over W plus 2W. And then I'm going to put the W on the top so that I can take that derivative. When I take the derivative of P, I have 144 times -1, which is -144. W to the 1 less power, so W to the -2. And then the derivative of 2W is just 2. You're going to take that and set it equal to 0. So -144, we'll go ahead and put the W on the bottom, plus 2 equals 0. Just like the last one, move your 144 over. And cross multiply. So we get 2W squared equals 144. Finish it out, divide by 2. We get W squared equals 72. And then we're going to take the square root. 72 is 8 times 9. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. We have a set of 2's and a set of 3's. 2 times 3 is 6. And we left the square root of 2. And again, same as 4, you can see it. You only have one that's 6 square root of 2. How do you get the other one? You plug it back in. So we said the length was 72 over W. So 72 over 6 square root of 2. When you simplify it out, it will give you 6 square root of 2. So there's 3 and 4. 5 and 6 deal with the distance. I'm going to flip my page one more time. Sorry, just so you know, those two answers on your test, C and D. So number 3 was C. Number 4 was D. Okay, C and D. Number 5. Again, like I said, the distance. Remember your distance formula is x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. And I told you it's easier if you'll just put the x, whatever coordinate in front, the x and the y in front, and then your numbers in the back. So it says find the point on the graph of the function. So for number 5, you have the function f of x equals x plus 1 squared. Since this is kind of a bigger function, it's actually going to make it a little bit harder. Not bad, it's just a lot of multiplying. That is closest to the point -5, 1. And again, I'm going to do every step, and it might bore you, and I'm really, really sorry, but I want to make sure that everybody understands where everything comes from. So we're going to start with our distance formula. We don't know the 1 point, so we're going to label it xy. So in our formula, we're going to do x minus -5 is x plus 5 squared plus y minus 1 squared. And then because we don't want y in here, we're going to plug in this function for y. And you'll do that on the next one as well. So we're going to get the square root of x plus 5 squared plus x plus 1 squared minus 1 all squared. So just like I did in your homework, I'm going to start with this little part right here. Remember, x plus 1 squared is x plus 1, x plus 1. When you distribute that out, you get x squared plus 2x plus 1. I didn't do anything with that. This is x squared plus 2x plus 1. Don't forget this -1 right here, minus 1 squared. And if you look, those will cancel out. So what you really have is x plus 5 squared plus x squared plus 2x squared. You're going to square both of those. So x plus 5 and x plus 5. Square the first. Multiply 5 times x and then multiply it by 2. So 2 times 5 is 10 times x because there'll be 2 in the middle. And then 5 times 5 is 25. So we're going to write that under the radical. And then we're going to have to multiply the x squared plus 2x. So when we multiply this, we get x to the fourth, then 2x cubed, same thing in the middle, 2x cubed, and then 4x squared. So that means we actually get x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 4x squared. And that's also going to go under the radical. So plus x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 4x squared. After that, you're going to clean it up. So we have big fat square root. We have x to the fourth. I took care of that. We have an x to the third. We have a 4x squared and an x squared. That's a 5x squared. Then we have a 10x and a 25. Because the square root really doesn't matter in this because you're going to square it anyway, your function underneath is what you're going to use for your f of x. So f of x is going to equal x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus 10x plus 25. Once you get your function, you're going to find the derivative. You get 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 10x plus 10. And then I'm too lazy to do the work on this, and I fully expect that you will be too. That is fine with me. But I need to find my zeros. So I need to find where my derivative set equal to 0. So I'm going to put it in my calculator. 4x to the third plus 12x squared plus 10x plus 10. 4x cubed plus 12x squared plus 10x plus 10. And then 0 and y2. This up so we can see it. I'm going to zoom 6 it. I don't know what my calculator screen was on, so I'm going to make sure it's all in the middle. So you can see that there's only one x-intercept. That's what we're going to find. So second trace intercept. Enter, enter, enter. And we get negative 2.3918. So x equals negative 2.3918. If you guys look, there's only one of those on your x. Remember, we were solving for x, and that is on A. How do you find your y? You plug it back in to your f of x equals x plus 1 squared. So when I get back to regular screen, it said x plus 1 squared, so parentheses, negative 2.3918 plus 1 squared gives us that 1.397. That's with our answer choice A. Okay. All right. Number 6 is the same exact way. It also has x plus 1 squared, which makes it a little bit easier because we've already squared everything out. I don't know if your test is like that or not, where it's the same function, but we're gonna hope that it is, because that was a lot of work. So again, your f of x equals x plus 1 squared. We had the coordinate -5, 3, so that's the one thing that changes. And we went from -5, 1 to -5, 3. And then we want to know that point xy. So your distance this time is x plus 5 squared, which we've already done. And then plus y minus 3 squared. All right. We're going to replace that y with x plus 1 squared. And then we did that up here. So there's your x plus 1 squared, x squared plus 2x plus 1. I'm just going to rewrite it down here. Again, x squared plus 2x plus 1. We have a minus 3 squared. Clean this up. We canceled it out the last time, so this one actually is a little bit worse than the last one. We're going to square x squared plus 2x minus 2. Okay. I already did your x plus 5 previous. It was x squared plus 10x plus 25. I did not do this one, so I'm going to work on it over here. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 2 times x squared plus 2x minus 2. Distribute your first, you get x to the 4th. 2x squared, I'm sorry, 2x cubed, and negative 2x squared. Do your middle, 2x times x squared is 2x to the 3rd. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Then do your last one. Negative 2 times x squared. Negative 2 times 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Add these up, you get x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd. These cancel each other out. Minus 8x plus 4. And that's going to go over here next to all of this. Plus x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd minus 8x plus 4. We're going to add our like terms. I'm going to start with my highest power, x to the 4th. There's only one of those. I'm done with that. There's a 4x cubed, and I'm done with that. There's only one x squared. But there's a 10x minus 8x, which is 2x. And then a 25 plus 4, which is a 29. So just take your time multiplying those out. You have plenty of time to take this test. Just if something messes up, it's probably within this craziness if you get something like this. We're going to take that bottom, or what's underneath the radical, and make it our f of x. So x to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd plus x squared plus 2x plus 29. We're going to take the derivative of that. So 4x to the 3rd plus 12x squared plus 2x plus 2. And we're going to set it equal to 0. And like I said, I'm going to be a little bit lazy with it. I'm going to put it into y equals 4x to the 3rd, 12x squared, 2x plus 2. I'm going to graph it, got my 0 and y2 so that I can see that intersection. You guys can see that there's only one, and as soon as it finishes graphing, I'll find that for you. There's my 0. Second trace intersect, enter, enter, enter. Then we get negative 2.8868. X equals negative 2.8868. How do we find our y? We plug it back into our original equation. So same equation pretty much as the last one. So I'm just going to kind of copy it over. Negative 2.8868, but this time it was, nope, it was plus 1 squared. So we're good. And then hit enter and you get the 3.56 that they were looking for. Sorry, oh, you couldn't see it. So your y would be 3.5600. And this is answer choice C. Again, you would find the x and be fine. You don't need to find the y because there's not two x's that are exactly the same. All right. So there's 5 and 6. By far, I think those are the worst ones. Yeah, just because of that, like this last one, just because of that one part where you have to do all this. So like I said, I think that by far is the hardest one. All right, we're going to move to 7 and 8. It's the one that talks about the pages and the dimensions of the page. So it says a rectangular page is to contain 144 square inches of print. The margins on each side are 1 inch. Find the dimensions of the page such that the least amount of paper is used. So we know that the rectangular page, so we'll do length times width or x times y, is 144 square inches, but it's of the print. So xy equals 144. But these are print margins. I can't spell. Print margins. It says find the dimensions of the page such that the least amount of paper is used. So we're going to minimize. Our margins were 1 each. So our print plus 1 on the left, 1 on the right is 2. And then our print length plus 2, because 2 margins, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, is going to equal your area. All right, so this is print margins. This one is total area that includes the margins, like the entire paper. Okay. We're going to solve for either one of these. I went ahead and solved for y on this by dividing by x. So we get x plus 2 instead of y. We get 144 over x plus 2 is going to equal the total area we're looking for. We're going to multiply this out. We get 144x over x. X times 2 is 2x. 2 times 144 is 288 over x. And then 2 times 2 is 4 is going to give you our area. Notice that we have an x on the top and the bottom here, so we can cancel it out. And then we can add that to the 4 because they're like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and write this as x to the negative 1, and then 144 plus 4 is 148. All right. We're going to find the derivative. So we get 2 minus 288, x to the negative 2. We're going to set our derivative equal to 0. And I'm going to change this back to x squared. This looks like just the beginning ones that we did. Add your 288 over x squared over. And cross multiply. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 288 times 1 is 288. We're going to divide by 2. That gives us that x squared is equal to 144. Take the square root. And x equals 12. but it didn't ask you for the print area. It asked you for the total area margins. So we have to remember that the total area included the margins. So the print was 12 plus 2 inches would be 14. If you look back to find y, if x was 12, 144 divided by 12 is still going to be 12. So this is actually a square piece of paper with the same length and width. So your answer for this one is going to be C. I'm sorry, not C, E. 14 and 14. Okay. Number 8, exactly the same way. So for number 8, rectangular pages to contain 36 square inches of print, the margins are 1 inch. So it's the same exact formula, except for being equal to 144, it'll be equal to 36. So XY equals 36. We have 1 inch margins on either side to give us the total area of the paper. We're going to do the same thing. Y is going to equal 36 over X. So X plus 2, 36 over X plus 2. We're going to distribute. This is going to be just like the other one. You're going to have 36X over X. Let's just change this to 36. 36 times 2 is 72X, or 72 over X, sorry. 2 times X is 2X, and 2 times 2 is 4. We're going to go ahead and add like terms and then take the derivative. So we get 72. I'm going to rewrite it as X to the -1 plus 2X, and then 36 plus 4 is 40. Take the derivative, negative 72X to the -2 plus 2, and set it equal to 0. I'm going to do this at the same time. We're going to move the 72 over, and I'm going to put the X on the bottom. So leave the 2, add the 72, but I'm going to put the X squared on the bottom. We're going to cross multiply. We get 72 equals 2X squared. We're going to divide by 2. And we get that 36 equals X squared. We're going to take the square root, and we get 6. Remember that when you square root a number, you get a positive and a negative, but since we're talking about dimensions of a page, a negative number will not work in this case. So 6 is your print margin. Remember, we had to do X plus 2 to get your total. So 6 plus 2 equals 8. There's only one with 8. And again, same thing, 36 divided by 6 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So 8 by 8 is what your paper is going to be, and that's the one that's C. All right, 2 more. 2 more. So number 9 says determine the dimensions of a rectangular solid with a square base with a maximum volume if its surface area is 529 square meters. So we have 2 formulas. We have volume and surface area. So volume is going to be length times width times height, but since it has a square base, your length and width are going to be the same, and then you're going to multiply it by the height, or y. Your surface area is going to be 2x squared. So you have a square on the ends. So if I draw this for you, kind of looks like this. Okay. So you have 2 squares, one on either end. So the front and the back of this one. And then you have 4 rectangles that are all the same size. They are the base times the height. So keep those X's. And again, if I write it out, here are your X's. These longer ones are your Y's. And again, surface area is just the area of all the surfaces added together. So then since I have the volume equals X squared Y, it says it has a surface area of 529. this is the equation that I'm going to use to solve for a single variable. The variable that I'm going to solve for is going to be y. So I'm going to move my 2x squared over. And then to get y by itself, I'm going to divide by 4x. So we get that y equals 529. I subtracted 2x squared. I divided by 4x. We're going to plug that into our volume. And then I distributed the x squared. I got 529x squared equals 2x to the 4th over 4x. They all have x's, so I went ahead and reduced. You could have done that up here as well. So 529x minus 2x to the 3rd over 4. You can split this up and it'll make taking the derivative a little bit easier. So 529x over 4 minus 2x to the 3rd over 4. If you want to reduce that, you can. It'll reduce itself in the end if you'd like it to do that. So then when we take the derivative, we get just 529 over 4. And then, sorry, y'all. And then we get 6/4 x squared. So 3 times 2 is 6 over 4, and then to the 1 less power. We need to set this equal to 0. And since they're on the same denominator, we can just squish it up like this. And again, you're going to cross multiply. So we get 0 equals 529 minus 6x squared. We're going to add your 6x squared over. We're going to divide by 6. And we get x squared equals, that won't reduce. So we're just going to write it as 529 over 6. We need to get it to look like the paper. So I need to find each square root. When I multiply this together, I need to get that square root of 6 out of the bottom. So I'm going to do 529 times 6, which is 3174. Goes under the square root. And then we have 6 on the bottom, so you guys can see that there's 6s and 3s in your denominators for your answers. And then we need to figure out how to simplify that. So I told you you could use your calculator, clear all this out. 3174 divide x. And look for some factors. There's 6 and 529. That might help you a little bit. We'll go down and see if I see any more. Probably not. All right, so let's do that one. 6 and 529. And then I'm going to try to find factors of 529. So I know 6 is 2 and 3. 529. Keep going down. There's some 23 and 23. All right. So I have pairs of 23s. Those will come out. I left the square root of 6 and it's over 6. So you'll see that on your paper. The question is that the one that's double? Since we solved for x You're gonna have two of those dimensions that are the same because like we said in the beginning, it's our square base. So we had x squared or two x's were the same. So in your answer choices, you should have another one of those. Okay. The question is that other one different or is it exactly the same? So plug it in to our surface area. 529 equals 2 x squared plus 4 xy. I'll try to do this all on my calculator at one time. And it's going to give me some decimals, but I can figure it out from there. So we had 529. We're going to subtract 2 times. We're going to subtract this 2 and all of this squared. Alpha y equals 23 square root of 6 over 6 squared. Then we get a nasty decimal. And then we need to divide by all of this 4 times 23 over 6. So divided by parentheses 4, open another set of parentheses, alpha y equals 23 square root of 6 over 6. And again, I'm hoping this works. And it says that y is going to be 9.3897. So if we look at all of our answer choices, A, B, C, D, E, and I know you guys are looking at them, but they're not on the screen. We have to have 2 23 square root of 6s over 6. So it's not A because it doesn't have 2 of them. B does, C does not, and E has some weird numbers. Okay. So if we look at B, both of them have the 23 square root of 6 over 6. The question is our third dimension 23 square root 6 over 6, or is it 23 square root 6 over 3? So then I'm going to try B in my calculator, which is alpha y equals 23 square root of 6 over 3. Now that said 18. So that's not the 9. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. And then 6 is the 9.38. So your answer on this one is not B, but D. And all the dimensions ended up being the same. So this is actually not a rectangular solid, but it is a cube because all 3 are the same. Okay. One more, guys. Same exact problem. So we have determined the dimensions of a rectangular solid with a square base with a maximum volume if its surface area is 361 square meters. So same exact equations. And then we know that our surface area is 361. We're going to solve this and plug in. So it's this, guys, it's the same thing. So we plugged in instead of 529, we're going to do that 361. So 361 equals 2x squared. Sorry, we don't plug in the 361. That's the only difference. So whatever you plug in here, we're going to put into there. So when we solve this, we did, I'm rewriting it, and I shouldn't be, minus 2x squared equals 4xy, and then divided by 4x. So the same exact thing, just the 361. You're going to plug that into your volume. X squared times 361 minus 2x squared over 4x. And what I said on the last one was you could have taken out that x right there. So this 2 will cross out and this x will go away, which will give you 361x when you distribute minus 2x cubed And we can split it to both over 4, just like we did on the last one. This will help us take the derivative better. So the derivative is 361 over 4 minus 2 times 3 is 6x squared over 4. And we want to set that equal to 0. Since they're both over 4, we can go ahead and multiply by 4, which will give us just the top set equal to 0. Add your 6x squared over, divide by 6. And just like the last one, you're going to have 361 over 6 that you're going to take the square root of. You're going to multiply it out because we don't want a square root in the bottom. And you get the square root of 2166 over 6. Reduce it just like I showed you on the last one. Or put your decimal in and check it with your answers. You don't necessarily have to reduce it if you don't want to, but I showed you both ways. So we get 19 square root of 6, and remember there's got to be 2 of those. So if we look at our answers, A has 3 of those, B does not have any of them, C only has 1 of them and we need 2, D is some weird numbers. And then E has 2 19 square root 6s over 6 and a square root 6 over 3. So we need to check the other dimension. So when we plug it back into our surface area, try to jump up there and steal it from where I had it before. So we had that, but we need it instead of 529 being 361. And then I'm going to see if this will work. Our answer divided by 4 and not, oh yeah, no, this is not going to work. I got to change this. Go back here. Now it is 19 square root of 6 over 6. And then divided by 4 times 19 square root of 6 over 6. I'll just put it in there. I won't do that. 4 19 square root of 6 over 6. And we're going to check that decimal. B has 19. No, we didn't eliminate B. A has 19 square root of 6 over 6. So let's try that one to see if it gives the same decimal. And it does. Sorry, y'all aren't even seeing it. So here's what I did. Once I divided it, I got 7.756. And so then I checked my answer A, my third value. If I would have done 19 square root of 6 over 3, like in part E or answer choice E, I would not have gotten a 7.75. So your answer for this one is going to be A. All right. So I know that there's more on the back of these. They are exactly the same. They're just not multiple choice. There are a couple that are kind of weird. But we did problems in our notes and problems in our homework like most of them. So what I want you to do now is you can work together and that's perfectly fine. Please do more working than you do talking. Stay off of your phones and get this done together. When you take your test tomorrow, you'll see the exact same thing. You'll see 1 through 10 are multiple choice, and then you'll see the rest are free response. I want you to work really hard on the multiple choice and then try the free response part. The free response will not count against you, but it will count against you if you do not do it, if that makes sense. So do work on it, and I'm going to give you credit for actually trying it. Most of them you should get. There's a couple of them that you might have trouble with. So the very first one is the same as number 1 and 2. The second one, number 12, it says has an area of a square units at a minimum. So that one's going to be one of those general equations like number 3 in your homework. 13 is the coordinate. 14 is surface area, and I think it says surface R, but it should be surface area. It just says ARE instead of AREA. Y'all can blame that on Miss Burkhart, and we can laugh about it later. Flip through. And then 15, 16, 17, and 18 might be rough, but just try them. Okay. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you definitely to try all of them. But again, on your test tomorrow, 1 through 10 are what you're going to focus on, and then you're going to work on the rest of them. The rest of the week, like I told you, you will have stuff on Canvas that will pop up. So you'll do a chapter 1 and chapter 2 review, and a chapter 3 and a chapter 4 review. So Monday, today, we did test review. Tomorrow you'll test. Wednesday, you'll do chapters 1 and 2, and it's kind of long, but you should move through it quick because you know how to do it now. And then Thursday, you have a break. Happy holiday. And then Friday, you guys will do chapter 3 and 4 review. And hopefully, if I'm back on Monday, we'll start on 5-1. If I'm not, then we'll probably Zoom 5-1. Okay. I hope you guys have a good day. And if you need anything, just have Miss Caldwell text me. See y'all.